Hello, I'm Fast Lawyer. I'm with Oculus Rift Reviews. Today we're going to review and play Westworld Awakening VR, a game on the Steam store for the Valve Index, HTC Vive, and Oculus Rift. It was released today by Survios. You may know Survios because they've made several really good VR experiences, including Creed, Rise to Glory, Electronauts, Sprint Vector, Raw Data. So yeah, they're a very well-known developer. They released this today for the price of $29.99. I bought it at that price. They have released. That's pretty unusual for me. But I'm a big fan of Westworld, and I heard this was a narrative-driven experience from that world, and I just had to buy it. The first thing you want to know is how long is this game? It's about 3 hours long. That's how long it took me to finish. I took my time as far as playing the game. I tried to explore as much as possible. Now, I didn't spend an inordinate amount of time looking for little nooks and crannies, so it might take you longer. Looking at my achievements, I didn't finish all the achievements, so you could possibly extend that gameplay maybe an hour or two more, but I think the normal gameplay will be 3 hours for most people. I would call this a narrative-driven walking simulator. There are hide-and-seek elements similar to Alien Isolation or Monstrum if you played those games in VR, but most of the game is not that. Most of the game is actually just narrative-driven walking simulator. Simple puzzles, simple environmental puzzles, nothing too complicated. For most of the game, you're told what to do. Now, there's 3 different difficulties in playing this game. I chose the medium difficulty one. There is an option to remove like all the hints and whatnot from the game. That might make it a little bit of more of a challenge. But for the most part, I don't remember using too many hints, although some items were highlighted, so it makes it easier to see. There really wasn't anything too difficult here. As far as narrative-driven experience, this is a really good story. I just wish it had been longer. Obviously, 3 hours is not a long time, but the story was good from start, and unlike a lot of narrative-driven experiences, the ending was very satisfying. It was a really good ending in my experience. It really made the whole game feel like something you were glad to have experienced because of that. So even though it's only 3 hours long and it costs $29.99, I can recommend this game because it is a really good experience. I really didn't experience too many issues. The game ran smoothly for me. There's a lot of options. I went with full locomotion and smooth turning, but there's lots of different options. From comfort options, of course, if you know me, you know I don't use those ever. I always turn them all off. There's video options. I actually have this on low setting for my 1060 GTX, and it ran perfectly fine. However, I could probably have upped that to higher, visual setting, graphic settings. Voice mix, volume mix, all kinds of options for you to play with, and I really appreciate those. There's even like an arm swinging locomotion method if you want that. I think that's the default method, but I just went with full locomotion and smooth turning. That's what I'm comfortable with, and I experienced only one small issue. The issue that I experienced is when you're holding the tablet, and again I'm using full locomotion, it didn't seem to always go in the direction that I wanted to. So for the most of the game, I was able to move around the world with no issues, no problems, except when I had that tablet out and pointing it out in the world, because you're looking for highlighted items using the scanner on your tablet, and it did always go in the direction that I was wanting to go. So that was the only issue. Other than that, it ran smoothly, no problems. I enjoyed all the options. There's 2 different hide and seek sections. So like I mentioned, the game is full of very easy environmental puzzles, and you're guided along for most of them as well. And then there's hide and seek sections. The hide and seek sections are from either a serial killer / slasher or from security forces, and the hide and seek elements are different for either of these things that you're hiding from. So when you're going up against the serial killer, you're pretty much left on your own as far as the hide and seek sections. You're not given much guidance. Basically, you're told that you can hide, and you're given an example of where to hide, but after that, you're pretty much left to your own devices, and it's up to you to figure out the patrol patterns and figure out when it's time to get out of the hiding place and get to the objective. You can go from hiding place to hiding place to get closer to your desired objective. And I like that part a lot more than the other sections, which is when you're hiding from the security forces. During those sections, you're pretty much told what to do. So you'll hide, and then you'll have a person on your headset telling you, okay, you can go now, go here, go there. So it's more of a follow directions, be able to follow them quickly versus anything else during those sections. And they just weren't as thrilling. The security forces, for me, just weren't nearly as scary as a serial killer. As far as, is this okay for kids to play with? It's a very violent game, so you'll see a lot of deaths, even up close deaths, and there's a lot of dead bodies laying around. For the most part, they are clothed, but there are a few bodies that were naked, that were dismembered. So as far as that, it is a bloody game, but there's not any sex or anything like that. So if you're okay with violence but not okay with sex, perfect game for you. If not, probably not the best game for kids. The voice acting was really good for the most part, especially the protagonist. And it's a very tight story. What I mean by that is that there were really no loose ends, nothing to really to be continued or anything like that. From start to finish, it's pretty focused, and it moves you along and keeps you motivated to go through these environmental puzzles that are pretty basic. There's nothing really innovative that's brought into this game. Probably the most intriguing part was at the very start, where you're pretty much destined to die. So in this game, be prepared. Spoiler alert here. If you don't want to know, you might want to mute the next 10 seconds, but you're going to die. There's no avoiding death. And it's pretty shocking when you see that serial killer up close to you and about to kill you, and does in fact kill you, and there is nothing you can do about it. So beware of that. That is a part of the gameplay. I actually like that part, probably better than a whole lot of other parts of the game, just because like I said, the gameplay elements themselves are pretty simple. But again, this is a walking simulator, so really the crux of this game is the narrative-driven experience, and that is very solid. One of the best stories in VR, especially the ending, which I really enjoyed. Overall, I would rate this game a 7.5 out of 10. It's a good narrative-driven experience, but it's not the game that I wanted. The game that I wanted was actually the opposite. Here, you're the host, you're a robot AI, and you're following directions throughout most of the game. I wanted a sandbox game where you're actually like a person visiting the theme park, and basically be the man in black. If you watch the show, you know what I'm talking about. And basically you get to decide what you want to do, whether you want to be the hero, whether you want to be the villain, or just do your own thing and explore around and just try out different things. So sort of a mix between a sandbox game and a narrative-driven experience. So you have these set pieces, these narratives going on, and you can go along with them, or you can do your own thing. You can decide to be good, decide to be evil. That's not this game, and it doesn't have Dolores. But other than that, it's a really good walking simulator. I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. Thank you.